Blah, blah, blah. Check, check. I think it's that time already. Say hi. All right, everybody. We're live now on Facebook and YouTube as well as Periscope. And we're getting ready to kick out the new Stages of Life radio show. I'm Melissa Fox, you know that. And Dr. David Klein is with us right here. We got just about a minute before we start everything on the radio. You can dial us up on 93.1, 94.1, AM 540. And yeah, and all over the world on the iHeartRadio app. Just search News Radio WFLA Orlando. And in just a few weeks, we'll be able to access the Stages of Life podcast through the iHeartRadio app. But right now, you can also go to Stages of Life Radio, and that'll work out really well for you. And the YouTube channel.
We have a YouTube channel.
That's right.
200 YouTubes on it.
YouTube channel as well.
Different types of topics. And yeah, you can be bored to death by me for probably a good 200 hours.
Really?
Oh,
200
certainly.
hours?
It's actually more than that.
I bet it is. Oh.
But if I say exactly how much it is, nobody will want to do it. That sounds like a time commitment.
20 seconds.
All right, we will be starting shortly, and when we do, we're going to be talking about performance medicine. So what's this all about? It's actually exactly what you want to hear.
10
Performance
seconds.
medicine. What does that mean?
10 seconds. Stand by, please.
All day, every day, news, weather, and traffic on News Radio WFLA Orlando. I'm meteorologist Danielle Niddle.
Paid program. The views expressed are those of the host and callers, and not those of News Radio WFLA Orlando, its management, or advertisers.
It's time for Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Have a medical question? Call 407-422-1212. That's 407-422-1212 or text 23680.
Welcome. Hey, it's Melissa Fox along with Dr. David Klein, and you are now tuned in to Stages of Life Radio. Dr. Klein, what are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about performance medicine. So really what's this all about? And that's kind of a different approach. You know, when you're looking at medical treatment, medical diseases, the medical industry, there are lots of different ways people like to skin the cat, as it were. So you've got the allopathic medicine model, which is essentially that if you get sick, you go to the doctor. Nothing about preventive medicine, or very, very little. Then you have homeopathic medicine. What exactly is homeopathic medicine? And that's kind of an offshoot of some of this woo-woo kind of stuff out there, where you end up sprinkling a little of this or a little of that, and somehow the magic, kicks in and your body gets better. And you have chiropractic medicine, which has a little bit of this and a little bit of that also. There are many, many different ways to try to make people feel better. And what's interesting is they all work to a greater or lesser extent. And that's where it starts to get interesting. So why does everything make everybody feel a little bit better? And the answer is simple. It's called the placebo effect, sometimes known as placebo. Placebo is actually Greek, which means I will please.
That's how you spell it?
Placebo. 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 But it's pronounced placebo. And so in any event, that doesn't matter. But what does matter is this, is that you can do just about anything, and 15% of the patient is going to feel better temporarily. It doesn't matter what you do. And so that is why there are so many different ways to treat different types of illnesses. But nothing works 100% of the time. And usually if something has a placebo effect, it is not likely to last very long. So people think that Western medicine, something where you go buy a prescription medication, is very much stronger than nutritional medicine or orthomolecular medicine. Orthomolecular medicine is kind of an interesting concept, and that's pretty much what I practice, which is making things better, bringing around health, taking care of disease, preventing it by nutrition, nutritional supplementation. That's what orthomolecular medicine's about, and that was a term that was coined back in the 1960s or 1970s, and it was one of these kinds of deals where it was a novel concept that you could go out and use vitamin C to treat this or treat that, or go out and take vitamin D and maybe treat an illness. Up until this point, it was pretty much known that if you had certain vitamin deficiencies, that you would end up with certain disease states like rickets or like scurvy Perlesh. Okay, there are lots of things that can happen as a result of certain vitamin deficiencies. But there's a huge difference between getting sick, having a frank illness, and just not doing well. And that's really what performance medicine's all about. And that's figuring out what you can do in a non-destructive way, a nutritional way, using medications that are natural, sometimes known as chemicals known to nature, to get the effect that you want. So how can you dissolve away, let's say, cholesterol deposits in the arteries? And you can do it. How do you lower blood sugar in diabetes? It's actually very easy. How do you correct a thyroid issue? How do you treat dementia? How do you treat constipation? Now you think about constipation for a second. Okay, that's something that everybody has some experience with, and it's almost always treated with nutrition. Usually not properly, but it's usually treated with nutrition. Why is that any different than depression? Why can't that be treated with nutrition? And it can. So what are we looking at here? What we're looking at is a concept which should not be all that strange to anybody, that you are what you eat. Okay, good God, you know that's a concept that's been around forever. You are what you eat. Whoa, shocker. Okay, let food be thy medicine. That's been around for 3,000 years, attributed to Hippocrates. So these things are not just words that were blown around. It actually is something that can be done. You can cure illness, and you can kill people using natural products. The most poisonous things of all in nature are actually quite natural. Okay, the things that are floating around out there. These things can be incredibly toxic. There's a Russian leader that's now fading away into history. Here's another one of the poisonings that happened in the Soviet Union, or Russia now. Okay, why has this happened? It really hasn't changed very much. You disagree with somebody and they find you dead. And what they typically use was thallium. It'll end up being a thallium poisoning. Why? Because you can't really treat it. There's nothing you can do to fix it, and you're done. It's all over Irene. Hair starts to fall out, and away you go. So the most common, there are more people die of Tylenol overdose than any other drug, period, whether it's prescription or not. We look at the opiate crisis. Well, there are lots of people dying. More people die of Tylenol overdose worldwide. Number 2, drug causing death would be alcohol. Number 3 would be tobacco. These are drugs, whether they are prescription or not. They're over the counter. And yet more people die collectively from those 3 things than do from anything else. And yet we whine and carry on about, I don't want to take a medicine. Because, for some fear that doesn't make any sense at all. In fact, fear doesn't make any sense. Fear is irrational imagination. Okay, imagination's fine. Concern is great. But concern of an irrational nature is known as fear. And when you do that and you take counsel in thy fears, you are going to make mistakes. Take counsel not in thy fears, attributed to Stonewall Jackson, who was a Confederate general, brilliant guy. He's a West Point graduate, did real well. He chose the side of Virginia. Okay, why? Because he was a Virginian. So what do we do at stages of life? We look at performance medicine. How do you keep your wits about you? How do you prevent dementia? How do you keep blood pressure reasonable so that you don't end up burning out your eyes, kidneys, or heart? What do you do to prevent hardening of the arteries? And you can. And how do you make the diagnosis so that you can go ahead and take care of people before they turn ill? It's a marvelous thing to be able to do, and it's really not all that hard. It doesn't take that much skill to do it, but it takes a tremendous amount of reading. You have to know a lot to be able to pull this one off. And that's something that I prefer to do. I like to read about 2 hours a day studying, trying to see if there's anything new out there. So what are we going to do? Well, Stages of Life Medical Institute's been around in this town since about 2000. So we've been here for 20 years. I've been in practice since 1983. Before that, I was at Duke University, and that's sort of the practice of medicine, but really you're told what to do. And what we're gonna discuss here is the sorts of symptoms, the sorts of problems that you may or may not have, friends of yours, and you can call in. And this is going to be kind of the key here, and this is a little bit different from many of the shows that you're going to hear. This one actually is live. I am here. I am real.
Wait, what? You're live?
Yeah, go figure. Okay, and we are taking calls, which means that you can call us. Okay, it's kind of a cool thing. You use your phone, you call us, and we answer the questions on the air. You don't need to use your own name. Some people are very weird about that. So if you're strange about using your name, use somebody you don't like's name. Okay, just throw that one out there, right? Okay, we like to know where you're from. So it could be, hi, I'm Susie from Claremont, Florida. Okay, or it might be, Stuart from Nantucket, or who knows what the heck it happens to be. Okay, and we have people from all over the world that listen in, and you tell us what your concern might be, and the way we like to hear it. And I'm going to repeat this next week and probably the week after, because I like to know certain things about you. Okay, I want to know where you're from. I want to know how old you are, what your gender is, what your problem is, and how long you've had it. So, hi, I'm Fred. I'm a 34-year-old white man from Sanford, Florida, okay? And I have high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, and I'm depressed. I take this, that, or the other. What am I doing wrong? That would be a reasonable question. Or another question might be, have I got a rash? Okay, that's under my armpits, and it's been bothering me for 16 years. It looks green. What could it be? Okay, and we get these sorts of things also. So no topic is off the table. Okay, this is High Wire Act. Okay, a circus high wire act with no net. Okay, there is in fact a delay. Okay, because of me. Okay, because they're worried about me. They're worried about me saying something nasty. So it's not for you. It's for me. Okay, and so this is a lot of fun. I've been doing this for 25 years. I thoroughly enjoy doing talk radio. So what are we going to do? My advice to you is this, is that in the future, next several weeks, it's going to get harder to get on the air. So you're going to want to call early on, and then we'll put you on hold, and we'll probably get to 8 to 10, 12 calls per hour. And the reason for this is that we run through them. We gun through these things. Okay, so many of the things that that you're going to call and you're going to think are peculiar or strange, I think I've about heard it all. So what we're going to do is that. So hi, I'm Sally from Orange Park, and I've got a 10-year history of X, Y, and Z. So performance medicine, and why do you care? Okay, and the answer is very simple. Okay, because the difference between a vitamin, mineral, herbal, sometimes known as an orthomolecular type product, and a prescription is a piece of paper. Okay, that's all. Okay, in many parts of the world, things that we use prescriptions to obtain, you can walk right up and grab it if you have enough cash. They don't care whether it's prescription or not. So what's the difference between medicine being practiced here in, let's say, South America? And the answer is cash and control. So here we try not to let people hurt themselves, and elsewhere they don't really care as much. Now, if you go to Europe, they care a lot, but they care differently. There are things that you can get in Europe that you can't get here, because after all, they're much smarter than we are because they have accents. Anybody with an accent, by definition, is smarter than we are, except for a couple things like vitamins, minerals, and herbals. Those are all not, you can't get them particularly unless you have a prescription, and even then they're hard to find. It makes absolutely no sense. What this results from, okay, is the fact that in Europe they have politicians also, okay? We have politicians, we suffer with them, okay? They have politicians and they suffer with them. They're just different. They have different nails to hammer. So there, because they socialize their medicine, if you wanted to go out and get vitamins, minerals, and herbals, they would be obligated to pay for it. Therefore, they make them illegal or are very, very hard to obtain. So we have people that drive in, fly in, swim in from Europe, South America, Asia, and they take home suitcases full of these nutraceuticals. We can't necessarily ship them there because then they get confiscated at the border, but they take them in. And so it's kind of interesting that people have to smuggle in vitamins from the United States out. And what do we have to do? We have to smuggle drugs in. That doesn't make any sense. So in Europe, you can get illegal drugs, the things that would be illegal here, you can get them in cafes. That's just the way it works. But you can't get vitamins because they're dangerous. It makes no sense. The world makes no sense. And here we are in election season, and everybody's going even crazier. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit back and we're going to answer a question or two if we have anything on Facebook Live yet. So do we or do we not? I can't really see.
Do we cheat 'em and how? Hold on a second here. Yeah, I did, and then I lost the questions entirely. Maybe we should just
We're on-
take a quick break
We're
here.
also on Facebook Live, by the way, so you can see
Yeah.
what we do, in real time. And then once it's all done, we'll have these things on our YouTube as well as on the podcast with iHeart. So we're
That's
gonna
correct.
take a break here.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a break. Wait,
Regroup.
Let me play some really cool music or something
yeah.
first. If you guys want to get on board, you can call 407-422-1212, or you can also text in at 23680.
Either way.
You're listening to Stages of Life Radio on News Radio WFLA. And you're clear there. We're here on the doc page. We got a whole bunch of people watching us. So, hi, Julie. How are you? If you have any questions for the doc, that would be awesome. Let's see how long this break is. 4 minutes long. Perfecto.
All right, when we pull back in, what I'm going to do. What is that?
That's the phone.
Oh, no kidding.
Someone calling you.
Oh,
It's just I have the audio up. So anyway, someone's calling in.
good. I was going to say,
You found it. May is calling. Okay, now there's something I want to do.
all right, excellent. Okay, because what I was going to do is I was going to start from the top with regards to the orthomolecular medicine, and we're going to start with the heart. So heart, liver, kidneys, lungs, skin, eyes, ears, and genitalia if we have enough time.
Maybe so. Let's see. We're gonna do
Yeah,
something.
we don't want to omit the genitalia, I guess.
Just the genitalia.
The genitalia.
All right, give me a second here. Don't omit the genitalia. Boom. All right. Let's see if we got a signal. Checking back in. Yes, please.
And this is a little trick I learned watching a Fred Astaire movie. Eating a little ginger when your stomach is upset. Here we go.
All right, we're just checking something. Well, I hope they hear us.
I hope so too. Yeah. We're sitting back trying to work our way through
Another.
a very interesting Matrix. Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the movie Matrix, you'd kind of get a general idea what this place looks like.
General idea, that's correct. It is working better.
We all have wires coming out of us.
We do. We're not real. We are fake people. Ha ha ha. Funny. Let's see.
I get to wear the black cloak.
Check. Testing. Let me make sure where I'm at here. Check. All right. Well, let's hope it's not as bad as before.
Oh,
We're gonna try.
were we silent for the last segment?
No, not at all.
And that happened just the first week we were on.
That
They
was
let
not
they
funny.
let me kind of go on for 20 minutes. They came back and said, "Oh, by the way, we weren't
Wait,
live."
don't think we have been.
I was
Rush
like,
has
oh,
been
okay.
running. And I'm like,
Hey,
oh,
hey, gee,
no.
Doc, can you do that again? No.
Oh. Hold on here. Bottom left. Okay, there we go. She's not going near the phone ring. Okay, so we got a minute coming back here. Let's check back with my other stuff here and see what we got. Where is the Fountain of Youth located?
There's a hormone called DHEA, which is known as the Fountain of Youth hormone. And so there was an awful lot of money spent and wasted by government in the 16th century looking for the Fountain of Youth. And they spent a lot of time here in Florida. The joke is that people that go around the state of Florida right now realize that this is a state of old people. There is no Fountain of Youth, because if there were, there would be a bunch of young people here in Florida, and it is not the case. So the deal with the Fountain of Youth, okay, is not growing old. Okay, and it's not necessarily the Peter Pan principle, but people can age faster than other folks by simply doing stupid things. Number one is smoking.
Summer of Savings event, a truly extraordinary limited time offer. Now through August 31st, and only at International Diamond Center.
All 4 Orlando locations on approved credit. Details at shopidc.com.
15 seconds, stand by.
I better shut
8
up on this one.
seconds.
Stay ahead of the storm with Operation Stormwatch on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
Welcome back to
Stages of Life Radio. Melissa Fox. I am with Dr. David Klein from Stages of Life Medical Institute.
You can always find
more out by going to Stages of Life Medical Institute.com.
Hey, it looks like we've got some callers coming in. Yeah. That is not really true. You can check in at 407-422-1212, or you can text us at 23680. Dr. Klein, you were talking about the Fountain of Youth while we were in your break here.
We had a Facebook Live caller who wanted to know about the Fountain of Youth. Is there such a thing? What is it, basically? And it's a fairy tale, okay? And it cost the European governments a lot of money because they spent a lot of time investigating the Fountain of Youth. Okay, and where did they go to look for it? The answer is here in Florida. Right. This is the way it went. Ponce de Leon went running around. And we have a county here named after the guy. I think it's De Leon County. Sometimes known as Jerkweed. Okay. So the guy ran all over the place trying to find the Fountain of Youth. He died in old man. So what's it all about? People age at different rates. Okay, now you can say, everybody ages in Europe. The answer's not so much. Chronologically, yes, but biologically, no. And you can make yourself age faster if you choose to by doing just a few things which are rather benign on their face, one of which is smoking. When you smoke, the tissues age quickly. And you'll knock 10, 20, 30 years off your life expectancy. And more so if you go ahead and do this. The life that you have has a lower productivity and a lower performance attached to it. The number of men that cannot have sexual intercourse at the age of 50 is enormous in smokers. It's a great industry going on right now, selling blue pills to smokers and former smokers, because half of them become unable to satisfy their partners at the age of 50, and then the numbers go up rapidly after that. Smoking, number one. Number two is laying out the sun. Will age you. Will age your skin very, very quickly. And the third one is not going to make any sense to you at all, but it makes all the sense in the world to me, and that's consumption of sugar. Sugar and carbohydrates will age you very, very rapidly. More so, it will shorten your life due to the fact that you're increasing your risk of cancer. It increases things like arthritis, autoimmune disorders. Many disorders are worsened when you take sugar in your diet. It's fascinating how these things work. So the Fountain of Youth is a matter of mind, it's a matter of concept, and it's preventive medicine and living a proper lifestyle. That does not mean that you have to go out there and pretend that you're a monk. It just doesn't work that way. What good would that be? There are a lot of jokes around there, like, why do you want to grow so old, kind of thing. But you can go out there and do things in moderation. It works fine. So alcohol in moderation, eating in moderation, staying out rarely. You want to be in bed early. Men live longer when they have wives, generally. Okay, unless they're like I've got certain relatives that I think people die out of self-defense. But for the most part, I'm about ready to get. There's a threat of a kick from my wife, Tess.
I saw that.
Tess is the power behind me. Actually, she's the motivating force. It comes with a sharp edge attached to it. Did you like that? And so the Fountain of Youth is conceptual. And so what we're going to be talking about in this show, in fact, this whole series is going to be the Fountain of Youth. What can you do to make yourself live longer, live happier, live better? Simple things. Fish oil reduces your risk of heart attack and stroke by 15%. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot to a 30-year-old, except for the fact that you begin developing plaquing in your arteries when you're 18, which means that when you're 30, you've already got plaquing in your arteries. That is the way that it goes. You're already 12 years behind the 8 ball. And each year it gets worse. So if you're from up north, and it starts to snow outside, when the snow first hits the ground, it generally doesn't stick until the ground gets cold enough to be able to hold the snow. So I grew up in Washington, D.C. It usually took a while for that to occur. If you're up in Maine, it could happen very quickly. Tess, my wife, lived in Colorado, and when it snowed, it didn't melt until springtime. So the way the body operates is very much the same way, is that each snowflake that hits the ground is going to build up. some faster, some slower. You can wash it away in some environments, and in some environments it won't make any difference what you do. So fish oil actually helps, in a manner of speaking, wash away the plaquing. Now the doctors that are listening are going to go, that's nonsense, it doesn't really wash away. Well, what it really does is it decreases the inflammation on the inside of your arteries, so the cholesterol deposits don't stick to the bifurcations of the little arterioles where the plaquing occurs. So actually I do know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to speak in terms of metaphors, which are helpful to people that don't have advanced biochemistry. That's the way these things work. So why and how these things work? If you're an automobile mechanic, it decreases viscosity of the oil. It decreases the viscosity or stickiness of your blood, thereby allowing it to flow better. So a mechanic would understand it from that standpoint. If you were an engineer and we were talking about fluid mechanics, we'd be talking about things like hydraulic fluid. The thinner the hydraulic fluid, the better it works at altitude. That's how it works in the aviation industry. So medicine really isn't all that different than any of the others. So how do you increase your life? Take your fish oil. You do it on a regular basis. You do it every day, whether you like it or you don't like it. You pay for it and you do it. It's not going to be given to you by the government. It's not going to come out of your insurance premiums. It's just not going to happen that way. Other things. Berberine, one of my most favorite of all herbs. What does berberine do? Lowers insulin, lowers blood sugar, lowers weight, lowers A1C. I can bring people's hemoglobin A1C down, diabetics, simply using berberine. But what's interesting about berberine, quercetin, inositol, is they all decrease your risk of developing cancer. Now, if you can decrease somebody's risk of developing cancer, most people know that cancer can be a lethal diagnosis. Statistically, it increases your longevity. And it works beautifully. So orthomolecular medicine is figuring out how to treat, and better than that is to prevent illness by using your brain, by using your food, and sometimes it's cheaper to use supplements. In fact, it's most frequently cheaper to do it that way. This is Dr. David Klein. You're just delighted you've joined us here at Stages of Life Medical Institute, a weekly guide to a healthier you, and I'm starting to learn my way around WFLA, having been on a competing station for 10 years.
Good stuff. Yep. News Radio WFLA, Stages of Life Radio. We'll be right back. Lately, I've been hearing a lot about erectile dysfunction, but I don't hear a lot about the woman's side of things. You know, you need to work together, literally. Let's talk about couples therapy. You need to talk to pharmacy specialists. Go to MakeRx.com and learn more about couples therapy and solutions to your challenges. Pharmacy specialists, making a difference with personalized medicine. A prescription from a licensed practitioner is required for compounded medications. Go to MakeRx.com for more information.
This is Dr. David Klein with StagesOfLifeVitamins.com. Diabetes did not just magically appear in your life. It may have started years ago as insulin resistance. Your body becomes resistant to the effects of insulin as insulin levels go up just to maintain normal blood sugar levels. At some time, things break, and you are diagnosed with diabetes. What caused this insulin resistance? More times than not, a person becomes deficient in certain micronutrients, and insulin receptor starts to become disordered. That's right. Diabetes may result from dietary micronutrient deficiency. StagesOfLifeVitamins.com offers a balanced mixture called DiabetStat with the appropriate balance of these minerals and herbals that assist in blood sugar control. When taken as directed, DiabetStat makes diabetic control easier and in many persons returns blood chemistries to the normal range. In essence, vitamins and minerals hold these proteins together like so many nuts and bolts. Visit StagesOfLifeVitamins.com. Look for DiabetStat, that's spelled DiabetStat. StagesOfLifeVitamins.com.
Listen to Stages of Life Radio with Dr. Klein, Sundays at 4 on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
iHeartRadio is the #1 choice for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. No one makes it easier to hear everything you love in one free app.
I don't pay anything. Great stations and playlists, all free. Any podcast you could possibly imagine is right there in front of you.
I feel like I learned more from the Stuff You Should Know podcast than I learned in college.
That is a fantastic podcast.
Everything I want in one place. If you're not one of the tens of millions who have the app, download iHeartRadio for free today and start listening.
iHeartRadio. Particular direction. things to
hurt,
happen, I will
dial
push
pound
gently
529 on your
in that
cell.
direction.
Pound law, that's all.
Understanding that every place that
Now, news from the WFLA News Center.
A tropical storm watch remains for the Florida Keys. The forecast for Tropical Storm Laura keeps it on a track south of the state as it moves into the Gulf of Mexico on a path toward eastern Texas. Florida's unemployment rate went up in July, but Adrian Johnston at the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity says the leading industry saw job gains, largely because Disney World opened its theme parks.
Leisure and hospitality, which gained 37,000 jobs over the month, and this was driven by 33,200 jobs gained in arts, entertainment, and recreation.
Universal Studios parks open in June. Republicans open their convention tomorrow. Speakers include Florida Congressman and staunch ally of President Trump Matt Gaetz tomorrow, then Florida Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez and former State Attorney General Pam Bondi Tuesday. With Florida's News, I'm John McChrystal.
Broadcasting from the Mills Air Studios. For all your AC needs, go to millsair.com to schedule an appointment.
Yeah. Knock everything around. Hit yourself in the teeth.
Microphone. Gotta love it.
Lord.
The ginger stuck in my teeth.
Huh. Alright, so they'll just yell at me online. Welcome back. How are you?
Good to have you along.
Good to have you along the States of Radio.
Well, everyone's
talking all at once on Facebook.
It's not.
It's jazz. Put myself through medical.
He did so many.
He did so many different things.
And I was a musician. Professionally.
Yeah.
That's Dr. David.
That's Dr. David Klein. Anything we talk about today, you can find on StatesOfLifeMedicalInstitute.com. And you can always give him a call at the office at 407-679-3337. But for now, if you want to call in, and I know there's been a couple of people trying, and we were having a little technical issues with the phone because nothing works the way you want it to all the time.
That's because everybody's working from home.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And every day it's a workaround. But if you want to try, 407-422-1212. Again, 407-422-1212. Yeah, well, you know, a little bit of trying here and there. So far, the doctor's been telling us a lot of very interesting stuff. There's still a lot of COVID testing and things going on, a lot of questions with COVID as well. But the one thing that we don't see or hear them talking about, and then when I say the ubiquitous them, I'm talking about the CDC or the meetings and the informing of the crowds. They never talk about prevention. They never talk about bringing your immunity system into a good place.
Which is actually an easy thing to do. Okay, and so at stages. So back in January, when I heard about this COVID thing happening, I was a flight surgeon with the military for 12 years. I had to pay attention to biological weapons, had to pay attention to just miserable little things like food safety in the cafeterias and whatnot. Because that's what the flight surgeons did when they weren't sticking themselves around folks that have to fly. So what do we do at stages to enhance people's immune system for this COVID thing? So back in January, okay, I did a little reading on coronavirus. Why? Because I knew what coronavirus was. But I just needed a little update. And we just read something, discovered something very interesting, and it doesn't get a lot of press at all. And that it's a veterinary virus. It's present in dogs, cats, sheep, cattle, horses, all mammals.
And they have prevention for that word.
Right. And there is a coronavirus vaccine, wouldn't you know? Okay, so it just hasn't been tested on human beings, and that's what they're doing right now, is they're taking the coronavirus vaccine, changing it a little bit to try to hit the coronavirus, the 19 virid. Okay, just a minor change. They do this with influenza all the time, and then boom, when you know it, they're going to come up with an inoculation. So this is not going to take as long as you think, and this is why, because it already exists. It just has to be tweaked a little bit. But what are we doing at stages? Now, how would a horse, or how would a cow, or how would a sheep protect its newborn from coronavirus? Understanding it's gastrointestinal. Wash your hands before you go back to work. All employees must wash their hands. Why? Because GI bugs are passed fecal orally. So you have to wash your hands, but cattle can't really do that. So they're delivering this calf into a pile of poop, straw and poop, grass and poop. what's the first thing that calf does? Okay, it goes and gets mother's milk, which is rich in something called colostrum. Colostrum is rich in something called gamma globulin, which is what the body uses to fight viruses, bacteria, and parasites. Pretty cool. You know something? Human beings do the same thing. So you see very few infants coming down with coronavirus because, wouldn't you know it, they're picking it up in mother's milk. Very interesting thing, isn't it? Okay, how long does the immunity last? Nobody really knows. It could be a couple years. So what I did was I started using something called lactoferrin-containing colostrum. This is in January, and I started putting myself on it. I put my wife on it, and I put my patients on it. Anybody who was willing to listen to me, I put on lactoferrin-containing colostrum. And not one patient that used this stuff has come down with either influenza or COVID. Now, that's a lot. It's about 8,000 people. So what do? And why did I choose this? And the answer is very simple. It's a conceptual interdiction that really works around orthomolecular medicine. What you're doing is you're using that which nature gave us. But what's also kind of cool about it, and I found this to be very, very just fascinating, is that the lactoferrin-containing colostrum also kicks up growth hormone levels. And this also enhances immune function. So people are out there spending a ton of money on growth hormone. I want the growth hormone injections. And it's $1,000 a month, right? So for $35 of colostrum, they're bringing their growth hormone levels from 0.6 to 0.2 into the 2 to 3 range. Now, we actually measure growth hormone levels in every patient that comes through the office. Every new patient gets it, and about every 90 days we recheck it because it's an indicator of how many REM cycles you sleep. How well you sleep will be reflected in your growth hormone levels. So we check it. So in terms of serendipity, we pick this one up just absolutely by luck. Preparation, reading, study, second-guessing nature, and then deciding to take a decisive action. And wouldn't you know it, the stuff works.
I think we have Gwen from Orlando on here.
Cool, Gwen.
Let's see. Maybe not.
Maybe not. You know, we've got this thing that looks like a flying saucer here that we use to actually get these phone lines in here. Yeah, it's for conference calls usually, but it doesn't work as well for
Gwen,
radio.
Are you there?
I'm there. I'm here.
It's working. Okay.
Thank you.
It's like magic.
It is like magic. All right, Gwen, you say you're 74, retired police officer, and you have COPD.
All right.
No, I'm not a police officer. No.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just retired.
Did you ever want to be a police officer?
Oh, I see.
My granddaughter is though, so my son was, but I'm not.
It says COP and then a big D. Sorry.
So she's got lung disease and she hasn't been copped.
Oh yeah, you took that wrong. No, COPD is not fun.
No kidding. Well, we got you. So what's up? Oh,
I just was diagnosed with COPD, and I was just wondering if you would have any thoughts on that for me.
Sure. Okay. There are a couple things that you can do with COPD. COPD is something that actually most everybody at one level or another is going to get as they get older. And that happens as a result
It's horrible.
Oh, no kidding. Well, what happened? Were you much of a smoker?
No.
Okay.
Nope, I never smoked.
Did you have any job
My
things?
husband did, so
okay,
secondhand smoke.
Secondhand. So what will happen is the lungs, the alveoli become inflamed. They start to get a little diseased, and they start to coalesce. They start to...
I'm on an inhaler right now. I just started it, and I don't know if it's going to help. If it's not going to help, I don't know what else to do.
Well, okay. What I'm going to ask you to do is just to kind of listen here for just a second.
Turn your radio down too, Glenn.
Yeah. Okay. And so what we're going to do with you is we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a couple things that are going to help you clear your lungs out. Because when these alveoli start to coalesce, okay, then the stroma that surrounds the bronchioles, okay, the little pipes that feed them, they tend to collapse. So you'll take a breath in, but you'll have a hard time getting air out. Okay, and so your chest will start to expand. You may wheeze a little bit, you may rattle a little bit, but you're not going to exchange air as well as you did. So the difference between somebody with age on them and somebody with age and COPD is the rapidity or the progression of this particular illness. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is to get two things. Okay, and these two things are going to make it a little bit easier for you to breathe. One of which is called N-acetylcysteine, or NAC. NAC is a mucolytic. And you're going to go, well, gee, what's that going to do for me? What it will do is it's going to loosen up the secretions that you do have, because if you get a little bit of sputum that you might aspirate down, or if you get a little bit of secretion from your sinus, or if you get a little bit of an infection, it becomes a big deal. So if you can get it out by liquefying it better, it works better. The second medication is over the counter called guaifenesin. Now, guaifenesin is taken in combination with the N-acetylcysteine, and you take 1 tablet of each 4 times a day. You drink lots of water, and it's going to help you cough this junk out.
Drink lots of water. Is that a good idea?
It's a great idea. Okay, but if you take the NAC with the guaifenesin, if you do both things, it works better, because if you don't, it doesn't act nearly as well as a mucolytic. Now, with regards
Dr. Klein, you're cutting out so much. It's so hard for me to hear you.
Okay, I gotcha. All right. So the phone in the background is what's doing that. So if you can turn your radio off, it'll work a whole lot better. So what I'm going to ask you to do.
I had it off and it.
Okay. Well,
Go ahead and listen to your
listen.
radio. Yeah.
Okay. All right. N-acetylcysteine 1 capsule 4 times a day. Guaifenesin 1 tablet 4 times a day. Drink lots and lots of water, because if you don't, you won't be able to bring the junk up. This is terribly important thing to be able to do. Those 2 things are probably, and they were both prescription at one point. Those are now over-the-counter products. Very, very inexpensive, very easy to get. The second thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sleep a little bit with your head elevated just a bit, and not eat too late in the evening, because if you do, you're going to aspirate and you're going to start coughing and carrying on. It can become a real bummer of a problem. If you're not a smoker, don't start. If you were a smoker, there's not much you can do about it right now. But start with the NAC and the guaifenesin. All right. The problem with the steroidal inhalers is they shut your adrenals down, and that's a big deal. So they go ahead and they give you a Maxair inhaler. Okay, your ACTH is going to drop, your growth hormone is going to drop, and your cortisol level is going to drop. This is a problem in terms of fighting infection, but it also may lead to changes in mentation, sometimes known as dementia. So you have to be very, very careful with exogenous steroids, which is something that they use with flip-abandon with COPD. Well, let's start you on another steroid. They start piling them on, and it can be highly, highly problematic. So if it were me, I would be using something along the line of a Mucormyst inhaler. Okay, you can do these things with, you can make it. Okay, Mucormyst is the same thing as NAC. And so you can go ahead and inhale this, and it helps bring the garbage out. Does it work? And the answer is yes. They actually, when you're getting the Mucormyst, if you're going to go get the inhalers, it's about $5 a dose. If you make it yourself, it's about 3 cents.
What?
Yeah, you can actually make it yourself. It's not that big a deal. So I teach people how to do that.
Always saving us money.
We're trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can spend $150, $200, $300 a month, or you can spend $30. Which would you rather do? So give that a try. Let me know how that goes, and we're going to see what happens. But COPD, she wasn't copped.
I read it wrong.
That's okay. It's good though. I'm trying to figure this out.
That's fine. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein, Sunday afternoons from 4 to 5, right here on News Radio WFLA, Orlando.
Okay, so what we need, one of the things we need to do, though, is we need to make it less of a conversation. Oops.
Less of a conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so in other words, ask the question, then back out. Otherwise, I can't think.
You mean this?
Yeah.
Her? Yeah.
Yeah, this means pot them off.
Okay, I didn't. Yeah, I was like, what is that?
Yeah, because otherwise I can't think. I'm getting onto a train of thought, and then she's asking questions.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. So I don't mind discussing it, because now if she don't hang up on her, but if I need to ask her a question, then we bring her back up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so looks like we.
I wish I could do that at home.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oops.
All right, how are we doing on the Facebook and all that? Is it better now? No double echo, double.
So what was happening? We were getting a little.
Oh, I on Facebook they were getting the commercials from the radio station.
I don't even think we can do that, can we?
I don't know, but I did it. I was like, wait, what? What's happening? No.
Yeah, I think Facebook is going to give us a hard way to go about that one, because they like to get their money out of it.
They do. Yeah, they most definitely do. So let's see. Okay, we did have some questions here. Hold on. Blah, 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 blah. Everyone's talking at once. Please fix the audio. Okay, let's see. What's the best way to rebuild your gut after antibiotic usage?
Cool question. Easy question.
45 seconds.
Two things you want to take. You want to take a probiotic and a prebiotic. What this means, a probiotic is a collection of bacteria to recolonize the gut. And prebiotic is something called zucchini squash, and what it is, it's fertilizer for the probiotics. So you can either spend a lot of money on prebiotics, $2 or $3 a day, or you can get a can of Del Monte zucchini squash, and you take let's say a tablespoon or two once a day, and that feeds it.
And you know what's fun is that she's actually on the phone now, too, so we're going to hear from her in just a second, right. Which is good. It is good.
So actually, I'll get a chance to answer that one formally for everybody that's listening.
Yep. Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio. I am Melissa Fox, helping out Dr. David Klein, and that is a good thing. It is.
I need all the help I can get.
It is, most definitely. All right, so we've got... We've got a question on the phone here. Hold on. Let's see what we have. This is Julie. Hello, Julie from Orlando. She says she's 54 and she wants to know how to rebuild her gut. She had a bunch of antibiotics.
Okay. Now, so the story with antibiotics is every dose, every prescription you've ever received of antibiotics has shortened your life. Okay, this a statistical correlation. It's actually kind of cool. And it also increases your risk of diabetes. Nothing you can do about it right now, but when doctors tell you that it's really not necessarily such a great idea to take an antibiotic, they're not kidding. All right? When you have a viral illness, what sense does it make to go ahead and take an antibiotic? On the other hand, if you have a urinary tract infection and you know it's bacterial, you take it. You got to do what you got to do. If you have pneumonia, you take it. If you have bronchitis, you take them. Blood poisoning, many reasons to be taking an antibiotic. The problem is taking an antibiotic is like swallowing a hand grenade. Okay, it goes off in the gut and it kills everything in proximity, to include your gut happy bacteria. Now, fun fact, okay, is that for every 10 feet of your gut, and you have more than 10 feet of gut, many more than 10 feet of gut, right? The gut bacteria change. So the gut in the proximal bowel is very, very different from the gut in the distal small bowel, which is very, very different from the proximal large, from the distal small large bowel. It changes the whole way from your teeth to your tail. So when you take a probiotic, okay, there's no way that it can fix everything all at one time. I don't care how strong it is, how many CFU, how many billions of CFU it is. You can't really cure everything all at one time. It's a process. So, and it may take you 3 to 6 months to do this. It could take upwards of a year. So the first thing that you do when you terminate the antibiotic, okay, you never take the probiotics while you're taking the antibiotic. It makes no sense at all. Matter, antimatter, they cancel each other out. It's not a good thing. So you take the probiotic the day after your last dosage. The dosage that you need, okay, begins at about 30 to 35 billion CFU. If your probiotic says 1 billion CFU, it's wasted. It's nothing. You might as well be chewing gum for as little good as it's going to do. The bacteria that are in there are very, very specific to the place in the bowel where the problem might occur. So usually what you want to be doing is you want to be getting things other than lactobacillus and acidophilus, because these are actually very simple things to get with a bowl of yogurt. You get a bowl of yogurt, you just saved yourself a bunch of money. So it's Bifidophilus and Bifid species that you're generally looking for. There are others. Now, in order for them to grow properly in your stomach, okay, what do? You take these capsules and you swallow it. Now, just hit stomach acid, right? It's like a fizzy hitting it, okay? So it burns the bacteria. So you have to take your probiotics with a meal. You never take them by themselves. If you do, you're wasting your time and money. Best meal is something with lots and lots of fiber in it, and it gives the bacteria something to hide in. So what can that be? It could be a salad. Okay, too many people don't eat salad. So when I recommend salads, they glaze over. Nobody wants to eat a salad. So what do you want to do? Eat a piece of fruit. Okay, so it could be a grapefruit. It could be an orange. It could be a lemon. It could be a lime. It could be whatever you want to eat. It doesn't matter. Papaya, it's all the same thing. Lots and lots of fiber when you eat the whole fruit, and then the bacteria can hide in that fiber and it will survive. Then you need to make sure that it has the right kind of food, because it may have to travel a long distance before it starts to replicate. And then you take something called a prebiotic. So we can sell you a prebiotic capsule, and we can spend a lot of money on this, or you can go cheaply, as I really prefer, and to use Del Monte zucchini. The zucchini squash with tomatoes is probably the best thing that you can take for it. It used to be called succotash. Don't have some corn in there and some other odds and ends, but I'd rather you not take the corn. So if you can eat zucchini squash, that's great. But a big can of Del Monte, and I love Del Monte. I think its stuff is great. Zucchini squash, and boom, that thing will last you 2 weeks. And it costs about $3. $3, 21 days. I mean, I think it's a pretty reasonable rate of return for your investment. That usually does the job. What else can you be taking to kind of promote gastrointestinal health? L-glutamine is very helpful if the problem was, in fact, a GI issue to begin with. 5 grams of L-glutamine will work, but for the most part, if you stick with the probiotic and the prebiotic, you're going to do just fine. Don't spend money on the prebiotic. Use Del Monte brand. Okay, get the real deal right here, Del Monte. And 1 good tablespoon works beautifully. What else we got?
I need to turn my microphone on. 49-year-old male put a stent in Third Medical, obtuse, 90% blockage, 10 days. I was asymptomatic, and then it was observed after a 13-minute stress test. Calcium score is 1,500. Do you think any type of IV, such as EDTA, chelation therapy?
Chelation. Okay. Yeah, EDTA stands for, or is ethylene diamine triacetic acid. Okay, and it's a chelating agent that's given intravenously, or it's given rectally. So if you take it intravenously, it takes something called a divalent cation, things like calcium, magnesium, straight out of your bloodstream. Great idea if you want to get sick.
Ooh, don't do that.
On the other hand, if you take sodium potassium EDTA suppositories, and if you go on the internet, look up EDTA suppositories, you do those things 5 out of 7 days per week, you'll save a lot of money, and you know something? That may be of benefit to you.
We should do this again next Sunday at 4 o'clock. What do you think?
I think that would be a brilliant idea. So join us next Sunday from 4 to 5 o'clock for Stages of Life Medical Institute.
Dr. David Klein.
Check out
stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com or stop by 1917 Booth Circle in Longwood near the intersection of I-4 and 434. Call 407-679-3337. That's 407-679-3337. Dr. Klein accepts most insurance and Medicare too. Join us next Sunday at 4 p.m. on